ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणम्। Hare Krishna and welcome back to today's episode of the Mahabharata. In the previous episode, we saw how the Pandavas had won the hand of Draupadi, and Arjuna, having won the hand of Draupadi, when they went to all the Pandavas took Draupadi to Kunti Devi, Kunti Devi asked them to share the gift that they all had got amongst themselves, and that is how the Pandavas, all the 5 Pandavas, married Draupadi. Now the Pandavas' cover was blown. So what was the reaction in Hastinapura? Today's episode we will start with the story of a forest called Indraprastha. This Indraprastha, in today's days, if you look at it, stretches from Sonipat in Haryana to about Faridabad, again in Haryana, crossing modern day Delhi. This area 5000 years ago was totally uninhabited. It had forest in many places, and some places it was like a barren land. This Indraprastha is on the western bank of the Yamunaji. This Indraprastha was a forest which was overseen by Indra, by Lord Indra. Lord Indra was the lord of that particular forest. And this forest, in some places wherever it was very thick in vegetation, it had many trees, plants, some ponds, all kinds of animals, reptiles, birds, all kinds of flora and fauna were there. This forest also had many herbs which were very beneficial in curing many ailments. That was something which was special to the Pandava forest. Now once it so happened that Agni Dev, the demigod of fire, he was suffering from some ailment, and he was advised to consume the herbs in the Pandava forest to cure himself of the ailment. Normally, if we fall sick, we go to some Ayurveda doctor. He will give some preparation made from some herbs. Some 1 or 2 spoons he will tell us to take once or twice in a day, or maybe 3 times in a day. And after 3-4 days, we will get cured. But Agni Dev is a Devata. He is a demigod, very powerful person. For his ailment, so he is a very powerful person, so his ailment will also be equally powerful. So for him, 1 or 2 spoons of herbs would not suffice. He was advised to consume all the herbs within that Indraprastha forest. Agni Dev understood that if he has to become free from his ailment, he has to consume the herbs in the forest. Now, Agni's or the Lord of Fire's consumption is not like our consumption. We will take something powder or make a paste of it and we will swallow it. But when Agni wants to swallow something, he will set fire to it, and the flames will consume whatever food is required to be offered to Agni Dev. Naturally, that is the way Agni Dev consumes food. we consume food by swallowing, Agnidev consumes food by engulfing it in his flames. Now Agnidev wanted to, in other words, Agnidev wanted to burn down the entire Pandava forest, which was not acceptable to Indradev. And Indradev did not give him permission. So Agnidev was he could not do anything, because after all, Indra is the chief of all the Devatas. He is the chief of all the demigods. And Agni had to follow Indra's instructions. When Indra could not give permission, Agnidev understood that it was not possible for him to directly consume the Indraprastha forest. So Agnidev had no other option, so he was suffering from his ailment. And even today, if you go to Sonipat, there is this Khanda forest. It is said to be the same Indraprastha. Now the Pandavas, in the meantime, in Panchala Desha, after they married Draupadi, they had to reveal themselves to Drupada, and thus their cover was blown. This news naturally reached Hastinapura. When Karna, Duryodhana, they heard that actually those poor Brahmanas who had come and won the hand of Draupadi, they are not some ordinary Brahmanas. The person who shot down that fish, who pierced the eye of the fish, meeting all the conditions set forth by Drupada in that Swayamvara, was none other than Arjuna himself. When they heard of this, then Karna's and Duryodhana's envy boiled over. So Karna advised Duryodhana, let us do like this, let us attack Panchala Desha and let us capture Drupada. Once we take him as a hostage, Arjuna and Draupadi will automatically come and fall in our net, and like this we will be able to capture all the Pandavas. So this vile plot was thought of by Karna and proposed to Duryodhana. From this we can see how Karna, he was not a person of noble character. He had all sorts of ambitions in his heart, and he was not averse to moving away from the path of dharma. Now, somehow or the other, Dronacharya came to know that Karna and Duryodhana are plotting like this. The moment Dronacharya heard this, he called both Karna and Duryodhana and he rebuked them very severely, and he warned them against taking such an adharmic, unrighteous, irreligious step. So we can see here how Dronacharya had an enmity with Drupada. We have seen that earlier. But still, when Karna proposed to Duryodhana to surreptitiously, to clandestinely attack Drupada in an unrighteous manner against the codes of warfare, against the codes of dharma, and take him hostage, Dronacharya opposed it very heavily. He was opposed to it because this was against the principles of dharma. From this we can see the character of Dronacharya also, how from the beginning he was so righteously situated. He could have very easily thought, Drupada is my enemy only, no, let them go and catch him, good. But no, he said if it is against the principles of dharma, doesn't matter whether Drupada is my enemy or my friend, you cannot do it, that's all. If in a righteous way, if you are going and capturing him, that Dronacharya was quite, he was happy with that. And that's how Arjuna went and defeated Drupada in the first place, and he captured him and brought him as in a rightful manner. He went and challenged him in an open warfare, fought with him, and in a righteous way he defeated him and captured him and brought him, which pleased Dronacharya a lot. But this kind of incorrect way, in a way which was opposing the principles of warfare, to attack Drupada and to capture him was not approved of by Dronacharya. This again demonstrates the noble character of Dronacharya. Being rebuked by Dronacharya heavily like this, Karna and Duryodhana gave up that plan. The Pandavas now, they also understood, now that our cover is blown, now that we cannot continue to remain incognito, they decided that okay, let us go back to Hastinapura. Anyway, everybody has come to know that we are alive and that we have escaped Varanavata. So no point in continuing to try to remain incognito. So let us go back to Hastinapura. Now anyway, the Pandavas had also gained in confidence. They had won Draupadi as their wife. Drupada naturally had become their ally because he was now their father-in-law. So they also got a little confidence, the Pandavas. And so they came back to Hastinapura. When they came back to Hastinapura, they were very well received. Bhishmadev was extremely happy. Dronacharya was also very glad to know that his dear disciple Arjuna as well as the rest of the Pandavas have not died, but they are still alive. And Vidura, of course, was naturally very happy. Although he was aware that the Pandavas had escaped, still he was very happy to see them come back, to return to Hastinapura. Gandhari was also very happy. Dhritarashtra, Karna, Duryodhana, although externally they showed as if they were happy that the Pandavas had come back, still internally they were all boiling. Oh my God, what to do? Our plan failed. Somehow the Pandavas have escaped. Now having coming back to Hastinapura, the Pandavas thought, they discussed amongst themselves, and they felt that they had now sufficiently grown up and they were capable of taking the reins of the kingdom. Thinking like this, Yudhishthira and all his other younger brothers, they approached Dhritarashtra, because Dhritarashtra was looking after them and he was practically like a father to them. Yudhishthira and the Pandavas approached Dhritarashtra and they submitted very humbly before him that, oh uncle, we have now grown up, and as Kshatriyas it is our duty to rule over a kingdom. So therefore we are humbly requesting you to give us some piece of land to rule over. You see how the Pandavas are so humble, they are of such wonderful character. Actually, the throne of Hastinapura was their rightful property. By the rules of the Vedas, Pandu had become the emperor, and naturally his children, and especially because Yudhishthira was elder to Duryodhana too, Yudhishthira got the right to ascend to the throne. The Pandavas could have very well gone and demanded, oh Dhritarashtra, oh uncle, now we have grown up, please step down from the throne and hand over the throne to us. There would have been nothing wrong in that. But the Pandavas were very sensitive to Dhritarashtra's feelings. They knew that he was too much attached to the throne, and therefore they did not outrightly demand to occupy the throne of Hastinapura. On the other hand, they humbly submitted, please give us some kingdom to rule over. Now, what should Dhritarashtra have done? Dhritarashtra should have immediately accepted, put Yudhishthira on the throne, and he should have stepped down. Especially when he knew that Yudhishthira was very popular amongst the citizens. Even Bhishma Deva, Dronacharya, all the elders, including Vidura, they all wanted to see Yudhishthira sit on the throne, because Yudhishthira was very, very renowned for his righteous approach and his determination to follow dharma. He had never uttered a lie in his life. Such was the stature of Yudhishthira. Therefore, everybody was looking forward to Yudhishthira becoming the emperor, because everybody knew with his ascension to the throne, there would be a lot of welfare activities for the citizens, and there would be a lot of prosperity in the kingdom, and all the citizens could expect plenty of guidance on the path back to Godhead, on the spiritual path. So everybody was looking forward to Yudhishthira's becoming the emperor. And so Dhritarashtra was well aware of all this. He should have stepped down and made Yudhishthira the emperor very honorably. But what did Dhritarashtra do? The moment the Pandavas came and submitted humbly before them, Dhritarashtra told them, oh yes, Yudhishthira, you have to now become the king. So please come, sit down. I will coronate you. I will make you the king. And then what did he do? He called all the priests, everybody made the rituals, and he said, now I am declaring that you are the king of Pandava Prastha. Instead of making Yudhishthira, the emperor of Hastinapura, he handed over a barren piece of land, a forest land, over to Yudhishthira and told him, you become the king of this land. It was practically uninhabited. There were no people. There was only a forest and with some patches of open spaces, which Dhritarashtra very generously handed over to Yudhishthira. Now Yudhishthira and the Pandavas could have very well objected. They could have said, no, what is this? You are giving us Pandava-prastha, useless piece of land. We have to rule over. Means ruling over is not some just piece of land. You need citizens, you need human beings. Give us some other city or some other state or some other kingdom. They could have very well asked. But then Yudhishthira, he was a person who had a lot of gratitude in his heart, which is again a great quality to be found in Yudhishthira. He thought, no, Dhritarashtra is practically like our father. He has reared us, he has brought us up, he has protected us when we were children and there was nobody to take care of us and we were very vulnerable. At that age, he took good care of us. So therefore, whatever he says, he is like whatever my own father is ordering me. If my father Pandu were to order me today to go to Pandava-prastha, would I not go? I would definitely go. And so therefore, Yudhishthira did not complain, he did not object, he did not express any reservation. He folded his hands and he accepted whatever Dhritarashtra had given. And so like this, the Pandavas shifted to Pandava-prastha. So they came to Pandava-prastha in a place where there was a little, it was not such a densely wooded area on the banks of the Yamuna. And they slowly built a small city. And because this Pandava-prastha was under the control of Indra, they called this place Indraprastha city. And this Indraprastha city is nothing but modern day Delhi. Even today, if you go to Delhi, next to the Red Fort, there is the Purana Kila. And this Purana Kila, it is said that originally it was a fort built by the Pandavas. Of course, the fort was built 5,000 years ago, and naturally over a period of time, it would have fallen into ruins, and many times it was again and again renovated by later kings. But originally, that is the spot where the Pandavas built the fort of theirs when they came and settled in Indraprastha, which is modern day Delhi. And even today, if you go to that Purana Kila, at the entrance of the Purana Kila opposite Pragati Maidan, there they say there is a Shiva temple at the entrance to the fort, which they say where the Pandavas used to worship the deity of Lord Shiva. So the Pandavas came and they established this city known as Indraprastha, and gradually the news spread. People came to know that, oh, the Pandavas have got a new kingdom. They have formed a new city called Indraprastha. It is on the bank of the Yamuna. So slowly people started coming, they started settling in, and slowly the city started growing. And the Pandavas are great devotees of Krishna. They are great devotees of the Supreme Lord. So therefore, the moment they established the city, they invited Lord Krishna to come and stay for a few days with them. And so Lord Krishna also, being bound by the love and affection of his devotees, the Pandavas, he accepted their hospitality, and Lord Krishna also came to stay with them for a few months in Indraprastha. When the Pandavas were staying in Indraprastha like this, Agnidev took advantage of this and he approached Lord Krishna and Arjuna, and he requested them, he informed them of his position, that he was suffering from some ailments and he wanted to consume all the herbs in that forest of Pandava, for which Indra was not allowing. So he requested their help. Now Agnidev is also a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Actually, all the devatas are devotees of Lord Krishna. In the Shastra, it is said, Dvau bhota sargau lokesmin daiva asura evacha Vishnu bhakto smrito daiva asuras tad viparyayaha. Broadly speaking, there are two kinds of living entities in this world. One is called a Sura, another is called an Asura. Who are called Asuras and who are called Suras? Generally, when we hear of the term Asura in the Puranas and the Vedas, we think Asura means he must be having two horns and fearful teeth like a tiger's or a lion's, with two canine teeth protruding out of his mouth, very blackened complexion, big thick eyebrows, and a different kind of dress, looking very fearsome. That's generally what we think when we hear the word Asura. But the definition given in the Vedas is something else. The Vedas says that Vishnu Bhakto Smrita Daiva, those who are devotees of Lord Vishnu are all called Daiva. Asuras tad viparyayaha. Anyone who is not a devotee of Vishnu is called an Asura. This is the definition given in the Vedas. Agni Dev, being a Devata, he is also a devotee of Lord Krishna. And when Krishna descended to this planet, Agni Dev had gifted him the Sudarshana Chakra. Now, one may question, that means to say, before Krishna incarnated, Krishna did not possess the Sudarshana Chakra? That is not true. Sudarshana Chakra is eternally a weapon of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Then how do we understand this? This is just like the example given of how one worships Ganga Devi. In worshipping Ganga Devi, what do? We go, take a dip in Ganga, take a little water, we cup our hands and take a little water of the Ganga, and we offer some mantras in her glorification, and then we offer that same water of Ganga back to Ganga Devi. And this is the way of worshipping Ganga Devi. So, the water is taken from Ganga Devi only, and you are offering it back to Ganga Devi. That's the way of offering, that's the way of worshipping Ganga Devi. Similarly, Sudarshan Chakra is always the weapon of the Supreme Lord Krishna. But when the Lord incarnates in this material world, Agni Dev presents that same Sudarshana Chakra back to Krishna. And in this way, he worships Lord Krishna. So, because Agni Dev had gifted Lord Krishna that Sudarshana Chakra, and because he was a devotee of Lord Krishna was inclined to help Agni Dev in his consumption of the Pandava forest. And so, Arjuna, because he is a devotee of Lord Krishna, and when he saw that Krishna wants to help Agni Dev, he also got ready and he said, yes, I will also come with you and I will also help you to consume the Pandava forest. And so therefore, Krishna for the first time became the charioteer of Arjuna. And Arjuna took up his bow and arrow and he sat on the chariot, and along with Agni Dev, they set out to the forest portion of Indraprastha. Now, Indradev was opposed to Agni Dev consuming the Indraprastha forest. So, when Agni Dev set out to consume the Indraprastha forest along with the support of Krishna and Arjuna, what was the response from Indra and what happened there? Please join us in our next session of the Mahabharata to know about this. Thank you. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.